What's up, you guys? We're back with some more NFL picks. This is week 8 on Beat the Odds NFL edition on Odds Checker. Before we get started, guys, how did we do last week?
Not too great. You're saying week 8, and I went 1-3 last week, and it's like, yeah, like I was just saying to you guys on the pre-show, it's like, okay, maybe this is the time to reconfigure exactly how we're making these picks. But 1-3 last week, but I did get the pick of the week, the Raiders, which makes me feel a little bit better.
I did good. I mean, the one that killed me, I went 2-2. I split them. The big problem was the Bears just showed no signs of life. None.
No.
And then Kansas City.
That was rough.
Oh, my goodness. Kansas City. I told you guys, I was like, Tennessee, Kansas City. We're going to know, like, within the first quarter who sets the tone in that game. And Tennessee set the tone.
When they ran 20 plays in their first 2 drives, I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be this game, huh? All right, well, that was a fun bet.
Derrick Henry's throwing a touchdown. Just so many bad things. Bad vibes all over.
It was like Tannehill started the game like 12 for 12, and then it was like, but like the Titans have started 13 for 13 because Derrick Henry threw the completions. It was like, oh boy, that was not very fun for that pick. It's always one thing when it's like, okay, at least when you pick a favorite, it's like, all right, at least the game should be close, and it's like when the favorite's getting blown out, it's like, oh man, that's a long Sunday.
All right, well, let's get into our for this week then. And as always, at the end of this video, we always do our picks of the week. What do you have for us this week, guys?
Okay, well, we'll start. Man, I think it's just when you get beaten down a little bit, you go back to the one who brought you. You know, you dance with the one who brought you there, who got you there. So I'm going to bet against the Eagles one more time. I'm going back to it. I'm betting the Lions. I'm betting on Dan Campbell at home at +3.5. I think this should be more of a pick'em game where it should be the Lions are -2 or -3. They're at home and they're underdogs. I think they're not a very talented team, but they play hard. I think they always put good game plans together. It's just that these other teams just have too much talent pull away in the end. But they keep games close up until that point, and or like they did yesterday, they just threw the kitchen sink at the Rams and they try to hang in there. I think this Eagles team is not that good. And the fact that you're getting this many points with a team that might be more of a 50-50 battle, I'm going to take the Lions and the points at home, just fighting on the man Campbells for 60 minutes.
Yeah, so, okay. We're already on the same one. Bang. Good. There we go. The Lions, I understand that they haven't won a football game. Yeah. At this point in the season, they're so different than like 2019 Miami in terms of a winless football team. This team is keeping it competitive with every single team until the wheels fall off on, hey, we have Jared Goff at quarterback, right? I mean, that's just kind of the situation that's happening right now. They seem to, Campbell called him out last week on Goff, and they seem to respond to a point where they could be competitive with the Rams through the fourth quarter. I think those are good signs. And then Philadelphia just refuses to run the ball. I mean,
I know.
It's bad, and they do it early too. And, like, Detroit's just going to hit you with the sledgehammer over and over and over again. So you have to get down and play that game with them. So if they just put everything on Hurts like they have been for this entire season, I think it's going to be very tough for him to kind of beat out this Lions team, even though this Lions team hasn't won a game. Like, this Lions team versus, like, the Jets, they're two different worlds. The Jets are way worse football team than this Lions team is, even though, like, the record doesn't necessarily show that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we agree. We're starting off with a bang. I'm very curious to watch that game because it could be a pretty fun tickle fight to watch. For my next one, I am going with – last week I tried to stay away from some of those big numbers. I picked one underdog, and of course it was the Bears, which just was not great. But this week I'm going with a heavy favorite. I'm going with the Bills -13.5 hosting the Dolphins. I just think this is – the AFC is a jumbled mess, but I do think the Bills are the best team as of right now. They're the most consistent team and the most put-together team, I think, top to bottom, offensively and defensively. Even if they don't have a ton of stars, like, that defense is a good unit. I think the Titans were a terrible matchup for them, like they are with a lot of teams, but I think this is a good unit, and I think the offense still has Josh Allen. They're figuring out what they are on offense still. They're getting better each week, and they also just had a bye week, and they're facing this Dolphins team that's just went London had a weird, funky game with the Falcons, and then now they have to go to Buffalo and play this team. So I think this might be Bills just torching them and covering this line.
Speaking of the Chicago Bears, San Francisco -3.5 at Chicago. That was quit is a very tricky word, right? Let's start with that on the front end. So I've seen like two teams seemingly quit this season, right? It was Jacksonville versus Tennessee, where they said, I am not going to stop ISO against Derrick Henry anymore. I will not pay this in flesh for you.
Full time out. I'm good.
And then this past weekend, Tampa Bay versus Chicago, Khalil Mack has been playing through a foot injury this whole time. And it just seems like that defense is starting to unravel now. Chicago can't score points. They have like 2 passing touchdowns in their last 125 pass attempts. They just can't score points in San Francisco for everything that they're going through right now. I mean, we should also remember last night was in a torrential downpour, but Jimmy Garoppolo is probably going to start, and they can at least get 8 passing touchdown. That's nice. So give me San Francisco here.
That game might last 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's
hopefully.
It's gonna be a nice
quick turnaround for our money.
Quick turnaround. It's like a horse. Yeah, it's like a horse race. Just get it in and out. The action. All right. With the next one, I went back and forth on this one. This week of games, I just by default is better than yesterday was. I think, but it's just some interesting games where I think it's gonna be very telling for teams. Saying all that because I'm going to go with the Patriots +5.5 at the Chargers. And I'm curious how you feel about this one, Justis, because it's I went back and forth. I think this Patriots team, the offense isn't great, but it actually, playing the Jets does help. But they at least have a plan. They at least are putting together competency every single week. Mac Jones I think they're figuring out exactly how to use him, down with the under center stuff, because he's still getting comfortable being under center. It's some of the quick hitting stuff. It's okay, this makes sense now. It's more stuff that he's comfortable with, less curl routes. It's more guys on the move. And this Chargers team, I of course love Justin Herbert. He's going to keep him in every single game. But it's this defense they were giving up almost 10 yards of play against the run when they're in base defense. Likes to get defenses in base is the Patriots offense. They love to love heavy personnel. They love to be in I formation with tight ends and fullbacks. I think it's a good matchup for the Patriots, and they can just keep this Chargers team without the explosive plays. They struggle to create those anyways. I'm going to go with the Patriots +5.5. I do think this is going to be a really fun game, though.
I got the other side of it.
The
Chargers -5.5.
Yeah.
I think explosives matter.
I could be talked out of this.
Yeah, explosives matter. The Chargers can get 15-yard chunk plays. It still worries me that every time New England needs to get a chunk play, multiple people touch the ball before they throw it. It's flea flickers. It's the wildcat end arounds. It's the double passes. That makes me nervous. That's not what NFL teams usually do. The Chargers do have a very bad run defense. There's no way around that. The defensive tackle out of Georgia, trade every pick for that guy. Get him suited up next week. But New England is kind of banged up on the offensive line too. And Mac Jones, he's just not having explosive plays. He can keep you on schedule, but I just wonder how long that can keep up in a shootout with Justin Herbert. If they're up 10, can you run that offense? I don't think so. So I don't know. We saw New England at the end of a game before in prime time, basically just say, no, we're done. How about we stop offense? And, it's a very weird thing. They just can't get explosives offensively. So I just think the Chargers just have more firepower here. They're off of extended rest. They have the quarterback advantage. That should be worth more than 2.5 points after you include home field advantage. So that's my thought.
I know. I'm with you on that one. It's just, oh man, that run defense. It was after that Ravens game has now given me such scared money on the Chargers a little bit, because it was but again, you said.
Well, when the Patriots get Lamar Jackson,
true.
Right,
exactly. Very true. No, it's that's what. Hey, and we come off a bye week. You never know with these teams.
All right. We got picks of the week. Okay, well, this week I'm looking at, you guys kind of already talked about the Bills-Dolphins game. only thing I'm going to add in is I saw a tweet today, this morning, that said Tua is not the problem on the Dolphins. And I want to talk about that. He is not the problem, but he is one of the many problems. Clearly, the Dolphins are just like, they're just not looking good. And obviously, the Bills are like the better team. So there's no doubt about this game. So I'm taking Bills minus 13.5 on Halloween. An exciting game. Excited to watch.
Yeah, it's just not Friday the 13th. We got Halloween. No, that perfect. All right, there we go. Sorry, Justis. Are you almost that's your pick of the week? Then it's like, okay, we get the 3 for 3 again. For my pick of the week, because I just can't. I just love getting the action out of the way. I'm going with the Thursday night game. I'm going, even though with the news that the defense coordinator has COVID.
I was going to ask you if you saw the news.
I still am. I'm just, it's a short week. Okay, maybe the game plan isn't as prevalent, so who knows? But I'm going to go with the Packers plus 3.5 at the Cardinals. I want to take that extra half point on the road. I think this is going to be a great game, especially on Thursday night. I'm just betting on hopefully some regression from the Cardinals. At some point, it's got to happen. Maybe they can just do this for 17 weeks, what they do on offense. Maybe they can. Like I keep trying to bet against it, but who knows? And then this Packers team, Justis, you know them better than anyone. It's always just you're betting on Aaron Rodgers. You're betting on that offense doing what they do, getting healthier, hopefully, on the O-line, hopefully. And then also just the defense, even with the D coordinator out, just creating some plays with their good players.
Yeah, it seems like, Preston Smith's probably going to be back this week. Bakhtiari's going to be back, and then Kevin King. I mean, that's 3 starters right there. Plus, who knows about MVS? Yeah, I mean, they're banged up right now, even though they're winning football games. So hopefully they get healthier down the stretch. Pittsburgh at Cleveland -3. Don't care who the quarterback is. Whoever the quarterback is better than Ben Roethlisberger. So, all right, -3. Let's say 3 points for home field advantage. That's usually what people are given, right? So Cleveland has the quarterback advantage. Cleveland has the better football team, and it's still at 3 in Cleveland. Don't understand it. I feel like we got messed up with the Pittsburgh funk, right? Where it's like Pittsburgh was awful, and then they beat Geno Smith, and everyone forgot Pittsburgh was awful. They're still bad. They're still a bad football team, and Geno Smith isn't starting in this game. So I'm not too worried about it. I mean, Keenum looks like he can operate an offense. If Baker's out there, good for him. I'm taking Cleveland. Done.
Yep. Done. Hey, they got healthy. And that's the other thing. You're saying they misconstrued like the Steelers through those last weeks. Same thing with the Browns. They were half their starters were out. It's like we got to forget it was a good team. They just got banged up the last couple of weeks.
All right. Well, that's all for week 8, and we will catch you guys next week. This is Beat the Odds NFL edition on Odds Checker.